So in my opinion now, is it a running shoe? Well, yes, I do think it is a serious running shoe. Certainly a lot more serious than the Pegasus 41, that's for sure. So just a couple runs done and dusted in this one. This is the Nike Pegasus Premium, and these are my first impressions. But before we get into it, a big shout out to my #1 running store, the Running Company at Geelong. I've got a link to their website in the description. Make sure you go check out that and check out all their running gear. And also guys, if you haven't done so already, make sure you hit that subscribe button. And with the specs, so this one is a neutral road running shoe, max cushion daily trainer from Nike. Now, recommended retail price here in Australia is $300, and you're going to pay $210 in the US. Now, with the weight, pretty hefty weight, so 325 grams or about 11.5 ounces in your men's size 9. Now, in the stack, massive stack here, 45 in the rear, 35 in the front, and that's going to give us a 10mm drop. And in the upper, so the material that they're using here is a circular knit. Well, that's the material that I really like in the shoe, and that's throughout the toe box here and throughout the upper parts of the shoe. Now this circular knit, very flexible, but most importantly, it's breathable. I'd love it if more shoes used a knit like this, because yeah, the breathability is just excellent, and it doesn't really soak up a lot of sweat. It's quite resistant to soaking up sweat. They've also got an engineered mesh, just to provide some structure throughout the bottom areas of the shoe here. But as you can see by the side of the shoe, it's got that Pegasus silhouette. Even when you throw the shoe on, you look down, it still looks really similar to the Pegasus 41. So same sort of heel counter here, really solid at the back, and we've got a little Achilles flare. We've got a nice amount of padding around the heel collar there, so about the same again as the Peg 41, really impressed. But what stands out here is this really puffy and plush tongue that is not gusseted in this shoe. So yeah, it's super puffy, and a really unique feature about it, it's got, it looks like it's been shot through the middle of the tongue there. It's just got all these holes all the way through it, but adding to the breathability of the shoe. Now with our lacing system, very, very similar to the Peg 41 if you're familiar with that. It doesn't have eyelets, it's just got these straps that it weaves through. And it's also got a bit of a mid-foot strap as well, just to assist with that lockdown. Now the lockdown in this shoe, I have struggled with it a little bit, but struggled with it through the midfoot just to get the laces pressure right. I've had no slippage, no heel slippage in the shoe, so that's fine. In the fit, I'm gonna say it's a narrow fit, so it's a bit of a pointy toe box. So in the length, yeah, true to size, but yeah, it's narrow. Just narrow, and because of the materials that they've used here to edge around the toe box itself, they're not really flexible. So this mesh, and they've got this, it's like this reflective type tape around it, that sort of restricts this knit from really being flexible around the toe box. So it's perceived to me as being quite narrow. If you've got a really thin foot, I think you'll be fine. If you've got a wide foot though, I would definitely come half a size up in this one. Build quality from Nike, so this looks excellent, this Peg Plus. Yeah, absolutely excellent. So probably the best build quality in a Nike I've seen for quite a while. And stepping comfort is pretty good here as well. And with the outsole, so a bit of a new concept going on here from Nike. Haven't seen this one before. So they've called this one a modified waffle design on their high abrasion rubber. But we've got a fair bit of rubber on the bottom of the shoe. Pretty much most of the forefoot is covered. As you can see there, one big piece, and also we've got the rubber in the high-wear areas at the back, a little bit of exposed foam through the middle of the shoe there, and we've got a big channel that pretty much runs from the entirety of the shoe there, and that's what you can see there is that exposed air zoom unit. But this channel as well, it's also just going to allow or give a little bit more bounce to the ride of this shoe. Now in the grip department, I was really worried when I first pulled this out of the box, and because the rubber or this waffle design was really shiny and glossy, and I was quite concerned that it was going to be slippery because my first run was going to be in some pretty wet conditions, but thankfully it held up, so it passes the grip test in those wet conditions. Durability wise, it's far too early for me to tell, but I've got a feeling this rubber is going to hold up for quite a while. And in the midsole, so this is where this shoe gets really interesting. So Nike have squeezed 3 different techs into the midsole. So the top layer, they have got their premium race day foam, their Zoom X foam. So it's great to see that straight under the footbed, so you can actually feel it in the shoe. So that's really light, responsive and bouncy. Then under that, they've got a full length air zoom unit. And that's, to me, it looks a bit gimmicky, and that was pretty much what put me off about the shoe. I thought it looked pretty much just like a casual shoe to wear around with that air zoom unit, so I was really hesitant to get the shoe seeing that. And then under that, they have got their React X foam, so the bottom layer, and that's just there to give this shoe a little bit of stability and also add to the durability of the shoe as well. Now, there's no plate in the shoe. However, rigidity-wise, it's still a pretty rigid shoe. So you can bend it, but then I'm not too sure if that's really good for the airbag, so I won't do a lot of bending. But in comparison to normal shoes out there, it's quite a rigid shoe. And in the geometry department, it does look a little bit traditional, but it's got a fair bit of curvature here, like a little bit of a late rocker through the shoe, and I'm glad that it's got that, because if it didn't have that, if it had the more traditional geometry like the original Peg, I think this shoe would be super slappy and not an enjoyable ride at all. And in the ride, so the first word that's coming to mind is bouncy, but it's a really unique type bounce because of this air zoom unit. So it was, the first couple of Ks were really throwing me off. I couldn't tell if I liked it or not. But then once I got in my rhythm and worked out what the shoe was all about, it actually started feeling really good. So, and surprisingly, I felt quite efficient in this shoe. And I'll tell you what, the best thing about the ride is no matter where you strike this shoe, if you strike rear foot, mid foot, forefoot, you're getting something back out of the shoe. So you're getting some pop, you're getting some bounce no matter where you strike. I really do think its sweet spot though is about this midfoot area, or midfoot to the forefoot, because if you squeeze down and you compress the airbag zoom units around here, I think it pushes all the air through the rear, and then as you roll back through, it sort of gives you an extra little pop off the rear as well. Yeah, there's no other shoe like it for me that delivers a ride like this, and it's going to probably take a little bit to get used to, but I think once you get used to this ride, it's surprisingly really nice. So yeah, comfortable, but yeah, bounce. It's got some unique pop, and for me, surprisingly, I found this shoe super efficient. So my perceived effort in this shoe was really low, but the pace that I was running was higher than usual. So that was very surprising to me, considering it's quite a weighty shoe as well, and not an overly rocket shoe, but I was ticking along nicely in this shoe, so I was pleasantly surprised. One big worry though with the ride of this shoe is just how narrow this really tall stack is, and it can get pretty unstable, especially through the rear of the shoe. So if you're a heavy heel striker and you need a little bit of support or a big pronator, I'd probably steer clear of this one. Likes in this shoe so far, certainly the ride. I really enjoy the bounce and the pop that this ride delivers. Nice and comfortable. Also love the material of the upper, love the breathability, and I also really appreciate the innovation and the tech that Nike have used in this shoe. And what I'm still figuring out in the shoe is certainly just the lockdown through the midfoot. I'm struggling a little bit with these laces and just how this midfoot locks down. I can't get the laces pressure right on the shoe, but I'll work it out soon enough. And dislikes is certainly that $300 price point. Too expensive. So I was really hesitant about testing this shoe because to me it really looked like a gimmick. I didn't think it was like a proper running shoe, but thankfully, after some good advice from those guys at the Running Company at Geelong, they've talked me into trying this one, and I'm pretty glad I did because, again, pleasantly surprised with the ride. So in my opinion now, is it a running shoe? Well, yes, I do think it is a serious running shoe. Certainly a lot more serious than the Pegasus 41, that's for sure. Yeah, again, surprisingly enjoying the ride. Just a few things to be cautious of, mainly just that tall stack and can get a little bit unstable. So my predictions with this shoe, I don't think it's going to be too versatile for too many people. I think it's just going to be one of those really enjoyable daily trainers, but for me, I'm getting long run vibes again out of it. So for me, my first run, I was only planning on running an hour, but I was enjoying the shoe so much, I just kept running. So I think I ran for about 80 minutes. So that's good signs in the shoe. So I'm definitely going to try this one out on a long run. Even though it's heavy, I feel super efficient in the shoe. The ride is really unique and it's really hard to explain. It sort of feels like that you're on these really tightly strung mini trampolines that just keep you popping along. But yeah, it's really, really nice. Similar shoes, I'm trying to think, it could sort of remind me of maybe the Mag Max, like a bouncier version of the Mag Max and not as fat and chunky. And it's sort of got vibes of the Hoka Skyward X as well. So if you're sort of wondering where it sits in the ballpark, so for me it sort of sits around where those two shoes are. But anyway guys, that's it. They're my first impressions with this shoe. Really enjoying it, lots of testing to go. I'm pretty sure I'll rack the Ks up pretty quickly in this one. Any questions you got with this shoe, or you want it compared to anything else, or you want me to compare it to anything else in another review, let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching. Make sure you give this video a like, subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you next time.